I signed a contract to be a millionaire's fake wife for a year. And in clause 23, which no one explained to me, it said that if he fell in love with me, he'd lose everything. I found it by accident. The contract, not the millionaire. My sister, who works as a lawyer at his company, introduced me to him. One Tuesday, she called me to say something that sounded like a joke, but it wasn't. "Iris, I need you to marry my boss." I hung up. He called back. "Listen to me before you hang up. It's a 1-year contract. He pays you $500,000. You don't have to touch him or kiss him or anything. He just needs a wife for an inheritance clause. His grandfather left in his will that if he didn't get married before he turned 35, he'd lose control of the company. He turns 35 in 3 months and doesn't have a girlfriend. He needs a temporary wife, and I told him I knew someone. You just sold me out as a catalog wife, I thought. Technically, I offered you as a business solution, she replied. My sister was always the smart one in the family. I was the one who dropped out of college to take care of mom when she got sick. The one who works at a bakery, earning just enough to cover rent and medicine. The one who's 28, with 0 savings and an apartment that smells like bread because my clothes absorb the smell from work. $500,000 was more money than I was going to see in my entire life. I went to the meeting. The company building had more floors than my grandmother is old. They made me wait in a room with a sofa that probably cost more than my car. After 20 minutes, he came in. His name was Dante Fuentes, 34 years old. A jawline that looked like it had been cut with a ruler. Dark eyes that stared at you as if he were assessing your market value. A gray suit that fit him like it had been sewn onto his body. He was ridiculously handsome, in that infuriating way, because you know he's not for you. He sat down across from me without saying hello and said a single sentence. My lawyer says you're perfect because you have nothing to lose. Do you agree? It took me exactly 3 seconds to decide. Whether to be offended or to accept that he was right, I decided on both. Nice to meet you. Something changed in his face, too. It was microscopic, but I saw it. The left corner of his mouth moved a millimeter upward. It wasn't a smile, but it was the closest this man seemed capable of. The contract had 24 clauses. My sister explained them to me one by one, except for the 23rd, which she said was standard and not worth reading in detail. I signed everything. The wedding was at a courthouse on a Wednesday at 10 in the morning. Dante wore a suit. I wore a white dress that his assistant had bought me the night before. We were married in front of a judge who looked bored and 2 witnesses who were Dante's employees. There was no kiss, no real ring, no rice, no music, nothing remotely resembling the wedding I imagined as a child, wrapping myself in my bedroom curtain and pretending it was a veil. Dante offered me his hand to sign, and when our fingers touched, he pulled them away as if my skin were burning. We moved into his apartment, which occupied the entire top floor of a building in the most expensive part of the city. It had 3 bedrooms. He assigned me the one farthest from his. There was an invisible line in the hallway that divided my territory from his. And the rules were clear. No entering his office, no speaking to him before 9 in the morning, no touching his things, no asking about his personal life. In public, act like a couple in love. In private, act like strangers. The first 2 months were exactly like that. Ghosts sharing an apartment. I would go to the bakery at 5 in the morning, before he woke up, and return at 4 in the afternoon when he was still at the office. On weekends, he would lock himself in a studio, and I would explore the city or call my mother. But something started to change in the 3rd month. The events. The contract included 4 social events a month where we were required to appear as a couple: galas, corporate dinners, investor parties. At the first event, I didn't know what to do. I put on a dress his assistant had chosen and stood next to him like a pretty piece of furniture. When someone asked me what I did for a living, I said, "I work in a bakery." And the woman laughed as if I'd told a joke. Dante didn't laugh. He glanced at me sideways and then said to the woman, "My wife makes the best bread in town. You should try it before you laugh." It was the first time he'd ever defended me, and I was so surprised I almost dropped my champagne glass. After the event in the car, I said to him, "Thank you for what you said." He looked at me in the rearview mirror and said, "I didn't do it for you. A humiliated wife makes me look bad." But his ears were red, and I grew up with a mother who taught me that men who blush